just couldn't swing 3 days off of work. Okay.
I'll sacrifice my. Seen the first.
Guys ready? It's 7 p.m. Okay. Good evening. I will call the Ferrysburg City Council meeting to order. Monday, April 18th, 2022, 7 p.m. Roll call, please.
Mayor Blease.
Here.
Councilmember O'Donnell.
Here.
Councilmember Carlson.
Here.
Councilmember Montgomery.
Here.
Councilmember Sias.
Here.
Councilmember Murdoch. Here. Councilmember Kate.
Here.
Okay, invocation by Councilmember Kate, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand.
Gracious God, we thank you so much for all the gifts that you give us. Chiefly among those gifts is life in you and the gift of government. We pray that we will use that gift wisely for the benefit of your people here in Ferrysburg. In your name we ask this. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God.
Okay, number 5, public comments. This time on the agenda for any citizen, direct brief comments or questions of the city council. Time for public comments will be given when an agenda item is discussed. If you have a comment or question, please raise your hand and be recognized by the mayor. For being recognized by the mayor, please give your name, address for the record, and proceed with your comment or question. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Any public comment?
Council members, my name is Jennifer Stuppy, 16200 Harbor Point Drive, and I'm here to talk about the recreational vehicle ordinance. Actually a couple years ago, I bought a pop-up camper when COVID started. I was trying to have some normalcy for my family. I've got twin boys, so we bought a brand new like a very small little pop-up camper. We put it in the driveway from May to September. We camped a lot in it. We still do. And last summer, I realized I was out of ordinance on the driveway. So I was looking at the ordinance. I had some issues with it. On the right side of my house in the backyard, we have pool equipment. On the other side, we're on a corner lot, and it would be on grass. So we had a camper, and my neighbors have a little camper. We all have little campers. We have a 55-foot driveway, a 10-foot box in our driveway. We only want it out seasonally to use it. I have some pictures of it. I was asking to get the ordinance changed so we could keep it in our driveway for ease of use. And I understand, I did do a petition in my neighborhood. Like 99% of the people were like, no problem. I understand that not everybody wants to see it. I know we've talked, Deb, you and I, and you're not a fan of it, and that's okay. But it really kind of became a burden for us to not be able to put it there. We couldn't put it in our backyard. And my neighbors have a very small camper too. It's a really cute camper. When they had to put theirs in their garage, they had to take a piece off of their garage door and let air out of the tires. And I thought, this really is just such a burden for us. We have this long driveway, and I understand, you know, everybody thinks of Cousin Eddie from Christmas Vacation wearing the robe, which going out, and I totally understand we don't want to have trashy looking things. But I do think if we keep them neat looking, I think that we could do this. Yeah, right. So I'm hoping that you guys vote yes on this, and thank you for just having a conversation about it. I appreciate it.
Okay, thanks. Any more public comment?
Jeff Stuppy, same address, 600 Harbor Point Drive. There. Just to second her motion, the size of it's pretty small, as you can see from the pictures. It doesn't take up a whole lot of space. So it'd be really convenient for us to have it parked there so we can get in and out. Not much more noticeable than another car, really, at the end of it. I promise you, I don't have a blue leisure suit at home, so I won't go out there and be like Cousin Eddie. But it would be a big convenience for us because, as she said, it's very hard to get it in and out of the backyard and have that many employees. It's amazing how the garage piles up. So we appreciate your time and attention. Look forward to.
Okay, thanks. Looks like there's no more public comment. Moving on, number 6, consideration for approval of consent agenda. A, approve the April 4th, 2022 City Council meeting minutes as printed. B, adopt a performance resolution for the city to conduct various activities in state highway right-of-way.
Your Honor, I move for approval.
Support.
Okay, we have a motion and support. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed. Number 7, new business. A, introduction of ordinance 321, an ordinance to amend city code, chapter 154 zoning, to amend article 3, general provisions, sections 3.190B, C, D, and E, to reorganize paragraphs and allow for additional front yard recreational vehicle placement exceptions. And this is just an introduction, so we're just going to discuss it tonight. There's no action on it for this evening. So, any discussion from council members at this time?
Your Honor,
Yes.
I'm just going to, at this point, state that I do support the ordinance, but I do not support it as written.
Okay. Do you want to elaborate on what you would have different?
When you look at the ordinance, it is really actually kind of hard to distinguish exactly what is allowed where. If you look at the map that is provided in the ordinance, you're not supposed to have anything in front of the house, from the front line of the house to the road. But obviously some of the houses don't have, that would mean it would have to be in the side yard. There's just a lot of what I consider confusing points to this. They say what you can place, what you can't, and not really what you can't. It looks like you could put, you could actually put it in front of the house, which would be a safety hazard. There's a fire in the house, now we have another obstacle to try and get around to get to the house. Also, living provisions in there. I just think it needs to be a little bit more defined. I can get into more deep.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Further comments from council? Yes.
You know, I've had this similar situation with a boat. I was remodeling my house. I had to rent a duplex in Holiday Hills, and there was no backyard. It was a dune, you know, and there was no place to store it, and I had it out front. And I called the city, and, you know, they told me I would have to find other options for storage then, you know, maybe renting a site or facility to store my boat. And at the time, it made me angry, but, you know, after thinking about it, I do kind of support the ordinance as it is now. And the reason is, and it's not because of the Eddie situation for me, it's more if you drive through communities that allow RVs and boats to be parked in the front of their homes, it tends to start to look kind of trashy, some of the homes. I'm not saying you guys, I'm just saying some people I'm afraid would take advantage of the situation and have multiple vehicles in front and vehicles that weren't in such good shape as yours, you know. And there are some large RVs and fifth wheels that take up a lot of space and block, you know, you got them on, if you put them in the front of homes, then you're blocking corners and sights of the roads and things of that nature. So that's my concern about it. I am open-minded to it, though. I mean, I would like to find a solution that makes everybody happy. Maybe the city has some property where we could store people's things. I don't know. Maybe that's something we could look into. But I do feel for you. But at the same time, I want to keep our city beautiful and as is, you know. So.
Honor, we have vote in.
Okay. You guys down here?
Your Honor, I've gone through this several times, trying to find differences between what is currently written and what is proposed. And the only thing I can find of any substance is that we're limiting this storage from May 1st to September 30th. Am I correct in that assumption?
Yes, it is seasonal.
Thank you.
Your Honor, is also limiting by length
Right.
Size
Got
also.
that.
Size.
and height.
Got that. Thank you.
Yeah. So Jerry, for your concern, it does say, yeah, can't be more than 18 feet long, including towing components. If it's a truck bed camper, that can't be more than 18 feet, including the truck itself. Boats can't be more than 18 feet. So these are small items compared to, you know, motor homes, bigger boats, such like that. Yes, and it can only be one item. So if people are trying to put multiple items there, then Craig, which is the code enforcer, would come by, or if somebody calls the city and, you know, notifies them, then we can go that route. Will, did you have anything to add to the
Yeah, I had
discussion?
I had a question for either of you guys. You circulated a petition when this first started. How many signatures did you guys have? Yep.
Also have a double gate on the side yard. You could put it in your side yard. every person in all the neighborhoods can just have a camper, trailer, whatever. Is that gonna fall on Craig? Is he gonna have to go around the whole city? I mean, this could be a mess, a real mess. That's what I'm saying, for one person that wants their camper up.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean,
so-
It doesn't matter. People weren't complaining until you guys went on.
yes.
Thank you. I serve on the planning commission. At your pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah.
We went, at the mayor's pleasure, we went round and round about this, trying to refine this, and came down to something that we felt would encompass the people that are already parking boats, like they do in my neighborhood, and make them legal. And I had posed a question to Craig if it was going, at our one planning commission meeting, if it was gonna potentially increase the workload. And what was your feelings about that, Craig?
So most of our recreational vehicle violations that are reported are complaint driven. So, you know, typically we get a few in the beginning of the season till people figure out what the ordinance is. Once they realize that the current ordinance doesn't allow parking in the front yard, then it seems to taper down towards, you know, as summer goes on.
Couple of the things that planning commission looked at, of course, first and foremost, we're here to satisfy the citizens. And when we get something that has engagement like this had with the petition of that magnitude, it is something that we definitely had to take a look at and bring a proposal to city council for us to make a decision on. And we felt that with the size restrictions, the distance from parking from the street, and that it was fairly airtight, that the thing would be that any objects in the driveways, which are all spelled out in this, wouldn't cause a problem. And it's short term when people are using recreational items in our city, and we're a recreational city, particularly summertime driven. And so we felt that it was a workable solution that would satisfy the citizens and also make sure that we're good neighbors to each other and not trashing things up. Craig, did you have anything else to add in terms of what the timber was at our discussions at the Planning Commission?
No, I think you covered everything. Just a couple of highlights. It has to be parked on a driveway.
Hard surface.
Hard
right?
surface. It has to be parked no farther than 10 feet from the garage, and it has to be 10 feet from road right away. So I think the biggest issue in enforcement is gonna be how do you determine what's 18 feet or less. But, you know, I don't think there's gonna be a whole lot of additional workload to the staff on this ordinance.
And I felt that since you're the code enforcement officer, or you could designate someone, that they would just have literally a tape or whatever, that this is the length. You know, you talk about how do you establish the 18 feet?
Typically, a code enforcer doesn't go on someone's property though, on private property.
Okay,
So we would just have to contact the owner and have him verify that it's 18 feet or less.
okay.
Yeah, Will had
Oh,
something.
I'm sorry.
Were you
Yeah.
done, Rich?
Yes, sir, thank you.
So just quick question for either Rich or Craig. Part 4, paragraph F. Is that, so that's saying they can only have it for, I mean, that's essentially targeting people that are using it on weekends, correct?
That is for people, Your Honor, may I respond?
Sure.
Okay. That section is for, like myself, where I have a fifth wheel pad on the side of my house. I have a camper parked there, so presently I am abiding by code. When I'm getting ready to go camping, correct me if I'm incorrect, Craig, if I'm gonna go camping, I may park it in my driveway, and that is what's being specified there in 4, number F. 7 consecutive days at a rate of 2 7-day periods per month. So I can pack it, unpack it, particularly if I'm gonna be leaving in 5 days and going out camping again. Okay, that has nothing to do with the seasonal May through September.
Okay, so
That's
they
all
can,
additional.
they can still leave it there all May through September.
That is correct.
Okay.
Now, I wouldn't be able to do mine. Mine's 25 or something like that. but-
Too big.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it is an existing, it's in the existing ordinance right
Yeah.
now.
So with the existing ordinance, you can park in your driveway for a short period of time.
7 days.
For a short
right.
period of time, and pretty much any size you wanna have. You've got a big monster fifth wheel, you can leave it there for X number of days, which are specified there in 4-F. What we're talking about is, these small recreational vehicles or jet skis or a pop-up or whatever, and gives people access to it, during the summer season.
There you go, first. Okay.
Rich, did the planning commission address, doing work on the vehicles, as far as RV reconstruction type work? Is that gonna be allowed in the front of neighborhoods, in front of homes?
Well, I know we talked about, water hookup, electrical hookup, that type of thing. That's something that I don't know, did we address that, Craig, in this?
They have to be operational.
They have to be operational.
Yep, no repairs.
Add something now, or still looking through the stuff?
Well, on page 3 of the diagram, next is section 2, shows no RV parking in front of the house. Do we want to adjust that? And this diagram, Tim, is for year-round, okay, which is in that section 4. Is that right? Am I correct? Let's see here.
So that diagram is for, the current ordinance reads that way, that no recreational vehicle can be parked in the front yard. On page 4 allows for exceptions to that rule. If it's under 18 feet, if it's 10 feet from the garage and 10 feet from a road right away, et cetera.
I also see it has to belong to the resident. Okay, so that, just a feeling I got is, one of these people that are gonna rent out their houses are gonna bring in a trailer and put it in their driveway and have that more rentable space. Have somebody living in it. Belongs to the owner, but,
Your Honor. Tim, that's addressed in the new paragraph, section 5, section B. Recreational vehicle, trailer, or truck bed camper shall be the property of the resident. Okay, so a short-term rental, I don't think that would apply.
I just think the owner of the short-term rental might buy a trailer and use that to extend their lodging. I'm just trying to not necessarily do this, just bringing up things outside the box that could happen. Playing devil's advocate on this.
So in the ordinance on page 5, paragraph E, the current ordinance allows for temporary living purposes in trailers. So those regulations gotta be followed, and if they're not, they'd be in violation.
Yeah, I guess we don't really know how many other people would take advantage of this, is to have a small camper, trailer, or boat in their front yard, so it's kind of hard to predict. Yeah, we don't want blight in the city, we don't want trash, we don't want ugly stuff. Yeah, we don't want any of that, so. But I think if, you know, there is something that's really an eyesore, the neighbors are gonna call the city. I just think, or you driving by, I could call the city and say, wait a minute, this looks terrible. So, but that's why we're looking at this and seeing planning committee. When I was on the planning committee before Rich, we talked about that also about a year and a half ago. So I do know they discussed it. They looked over the current ordinance. They make some adjustments. We're trying to pretty much appease everybody in the city without having issues. So any further discussion? Anybody else have any more input?
Your Honor, I
Yes.
just wanted to say it's great that we got engagement from the residents. It's good to see, residents going around and encouraging changes in a positive way. And, we got quite a few signatures for such a small community. Obviously, there's people on both sides, but it seems to really engage our residents. I know the Planning Commission spent quite a bit of time on it. They're confident that, they've protected the city from the blight and mess, as you put it. So I think it's a good thing that you only give it a try.
Could you come up to the mic, Jen, just so that way people watch and can hear you?
Owning
Thanks.
a pop-up for the last 2 years, it is a lot of work. Like, I really actually hate camping. To make good memories for my kids so they take care of me when I'm old. But this is not something I want to do for like the next 20 years, I promise you. It's probably something I'll do for a few years. I'll probably get rid of it and, that camping. So I don't know if a ton of people are going to want to get pop-up campers. I don't know if everybody, but I don't know. I see them and I, oh, fun. People are making memories and I don't think of it. I just think it's great to see families out doing.
Okay, thanks.
Last couple of years were record years for sales of recreational vehicles, so.
Okay, any more discussion before we move on? Okay, we're moving on. 7B, introduction, ordinance number 322, an ordinance to amend City Code, Chapter 154, zoning amendment to Article 2, definitions, Section 2.20 to add the definitions of flag, permanent flag pole, and temporary flag pole, an amendment to Article 3, general provisions, Section 3.130 to regulate flag and flagpole placement, size, and number, and an amendment to Article 7, signs, Section 7.20, 7.30, to strike references to flags within signage regulations. Okay, who wants to start discussion on this? Rich, this also came from Planning Committee?
That's correct.
What was in our old ordinance and what was the update? I guess I didn't quite.
City manager would like.
Oh, Craig?
Just a quick overview of what's the proposed ordinance. Currently, there's no regulations for the number of flags on a piece of property.
Oh.
Late last fall, we got some complaints of numerous flags on property. It was brought to the Planning Commission. They looked into the ordinance, and there was really no regulations to limit the number of flags on a piece of property. So this text amendment to the zoning ordinance defines flags and flag poles. Section 2 is general requirements. The first table on page 2 is requirements for temporary flag poles. Need to be no greater than 6 feet in length, and they're allowed to have 2 temporary flag poles on a property. At the bottom table for residential, you're allowed to have 1 maximum permanent flagpole with a maximum height of 35 feet and maximum of 2 flags on that pole.
Did we, Craig, if you had to guess, do you know how many residents or how many homes were maybe had too many flags or flagpoles?
One was brought to the city's attention, and that home had probably 15 flags on it.
Like the
Two or
UN.
three of which were hanging down towards the earth, not even upright. Just ratty.
So this ordinance is just in response to that, something to regulate the flags so
Yeah,
we don't
okay.
have this in the future.
Cool, okay. I could not recall.
Your Honor.
Yes.
As the city manager mentioned, this was driven by citizen complaint about somebody that had numerous flags, some that were in disrepair. We went round and round about it because we certainly would encourage people to fly the colors and other flags. We limited it by square footage, and the rules are different for commercial versus residential. And then we also, in this, are doing a carve-out for freestanding flag poles at a home max 30 square feet, so it's 2 3-by-5 foot flags. And then temporary flagpole, which a temporary flagpole is something mounted on your house. Or potentially stuck in the ground. Some people stick flags in the ground for things. You can't leave those out forever and a day. Independence Day, that's one thing, but so we're just trying to carve out as to what's going to be reasonable so that we can enforce if we have to, like we would at that one home, right, Craig?
Correct.
Okay. All right. Further discussion from the council?
Your Honor?
Yes.
You need to hear from him, didn't you?
Yeah. I was waiting.
You're waiting, yes. One problem I see with this is the Spring Lake Yacht Club. They have a yard arm, and they would not be able to fly their all the flags that they would be they would like to fly if this goes into effect. Instead of being able to fly, because you do with the yard arm, you can fly at least 3 flags. When I had mine, I had 4 that I usually flew. One on each arm, and then the 2 on the main mast. So this would limit the flying of the banners and or the pennants. Also, I think there is a flag code that is already written, and if we that should be enforced. There are specific things, the condition of the flag, how to fly it. I think this. There are people here on this council. I think we all on this council are for property rights, personal what we do with our properties, how we express ourselves. Also, the U.S. Supreme Court has stated that how we fly the flag, when we fly it, what we do with it. Unfortunately, people can burn it, desecrate it, and that's all part of the covered under the Constitution, U.S. Constitution, free speech. I'd like to see it left as is, and if there is a property that it becomes an eyesore, yes, we can do something about that. But I think that the property owners should be able to express themselves in the flying of their flags, as long as it's not an offensive, which is the Supreme Court has also ruled. Grossly offensive or we don't have an ordinance on the books, but there is an ordinance in the international or the national flag code on how and when to fly flag. And, that's my major concern with this.
Greg, would that pertain to us as a city
So we're not gonna
municipality?
regulate, we're not regulating the content on the flag. We're not saying what they fly on the poles. We're just limiting the size, number of flags on a piece of property.
So would the Spring Lake Country or Spring Lake Yacht Club, would their flags be considered temporary or permanent? Probably temporary because they're seasonal.
No, it's a permanent flagpole.
Permanent flagpole.
Yes. But it has the ability to fly three flags, a minimum of three flags.
Okay.
They could fly, 2 flags on the main mast and then two on each arm, so that could be 6 flags.
Okay. Do they
Or
do that?
Or they can run up they can fly the American flag and then, the pennants on each side, like you see on the flags, on the ships.
Okay.
Your Honor.
Yes.
That may be addressed under section 3A, permanent flagpoles, where it says non-residential. On the right-hand column, one, one per 50 feet of road frontage per parcel or lot or parcel. I don't know how much road frontage the Spring Lake Yacht Club takes up. If it's more than 50 feet, then it may be covered. I don't know.
The limit's only 2 flags per pole, though.
Yeah, okay.
I'm not sure the U.S. flag code really applies here. That's really for American flag and other flags in relation to the American flag. It doesn't tell you you can't go fly 10 other flags next to it. The closest thing it says is you can't fly flags above it.
Right, but this is also, what they were discussing, the main cause of this was the tattered flags that they
Right,
saw.
but I could-
That would be a complaint. And
But
personally, I've gone and taken down tattered flags.
But I could have a tattered "Don't Tread on Me" flag or something like that, and it's nothing against the flag, the
Right.
U.S. flag code. It only applies to American flags.
So Rich, do you think, the planning committee where I guess they miss Spring Lake, Yacht Club. And if we, pass this type of ordinance, they could only have so many flags at one time, 2, looks like.
Maybe allowing.
Per
maybe putting in there
flagpole.
Allowing the flying of the pennants.
Could we put something in here for special exemptions?
Well, I don't think you want to put in special exemptions because what is good for one should be good for all. So, but especially during, I last year during Coast Guard Week, I hung out my pennant flags and show the support of exception, but for one for the others. But maybe that should be, I don't know, maybe you can address it that you can fly specifically approve the international code flags or pennants or something in there that's permissible to fly. Or if you have a yard arm, if you do have a yard arm, you can put 2 flags on each arm. That could might be added to it. That way it applies to everybody. Like when I had my yard arm flagpole, I could fly 2 flags on each rope. Something of that nature.
Rich,
Yes.
does it talk anywhere about lighting flags?
I don't believe so, not in this. Once again, that would be, the only flag we'd be worried about lighting is the US flag.
Correct.
And that would be covered by the.
Yep.
Debbie, you had something?
second flag?
Guard arm. Okay.
Like that.
So.
So is that illegal then with
Yeah.
this?
So there's, in this ordinance, there's a definition for flagpole permanent and a flagpole temporary. If it's existing, let me review with the city planner on that. I'm not sure if something is existing, would it be grandfathered in? So let me check with them, I'll get back to the city council on that.
Craig, additionally, can we look at, yard arms?
Mhm.
Yard arm flags, and also, things like the marina, or the, yacht club?
But a Marino too also.
I mean, we want round and round about how to
Yeah.
handle commercial. If you look at the square footage, it's about double for commercial. And then, talked about temporary flagpoles for, let's say, a gas station, and they wanna put up, flags announcing the sale on milk or Lord knows what, every 50 feet.
Yeah.
Also have one other, the freestanding, flagpoles. My understanding, you can have one freestanding flagpole. That contain also commercial property.
Road frontage.
Very far to be.
Yeah, Spring Lake Yacht Club is, I mean, they have that long driveway, but I don't know how much really road frontage they have
Not much.
because there's, private property on both sides of their driveway, so. Yeah, it's not very wide, so. Okay, you got enough, Craig, to get with, David, the city planner on that? Okay. All right, let's move on. 7C, work session investments. And there, Tim gave us a few handouts here, and do you, Craig, want to explain what we're doing now in the city investments?
Currently, we take we pool all the money together except for tax money, we don't pool that together. We take the money that's in each fund and we pool it together and purchase CDs, what they call a jumbo CD. And then we take those CDs and put them in different banks so that they're under the 250,000 FDIC insured. So basically, if a bank went under, that the city would not lose any money.
They'd be insured, okay.
The interest rates haven't been paying anything for the last 3 years, but the money's been secure and safe.
But it hasn't been losing. Okay, Tim, what do you got going here? What were your thoughts of
Well, I was
information?
I met this representative from this Michigan class organization, and I'm, like I said, I'm not a big knowledgeable person about investments, but I have been listening to different people, and I talked to her, and she said that what they do is they take investments, money from all over the state, different municipalities. They got like 1,000 of them right now. That they just take this money, they invest it. It's there is no risk to us for loss, but we do. There is good potential for gain on the money. I just wanted to kind of take a look at this. Might be something that we might want to take a look at a little closer with investing some of our money, since we haven't gotten anything on the CDs. If we can invest the money without worrying about loss, then that might be a way to go, especially with the bridge fund. We definitely want that to grow. So 20 years from now, when they're the next few city council members down the road, we're looking at replacing the bridge or fixing it or something, they have money to work with. I don't really understand how you can invest and not worry about losses, but I know that is possible.
So, just to that point, if you read the bottom, actually, it's in bold, says any financial and/or investment decision may incur losses. So, I mean, if there's a perfect investment where it's impossible for me to lose and only gain, sign me up. But
Yeah, really.
I'm not sure it's out there.
Well, the reason that you'd get interest is because there's risk,
Sure.
you know, unless it's a CD and then it's federally insured. In the fine print, it does say investments involve risk, including the possible loss of principal. And I don't know if the city needs to be responsible for the citizens' money of losing principal. Craig, how much do we actually float around in CDs? Is that quite a chunk of money where we could potentially do some long-term investing with it? Or are we not looking at much money?
It's a considerable sum. We've got about 1.7 million invested right now. And typically we do a yearly CD. And then at the end of the year, we typically take the interest out, so it draws it back down to 250,000 and reinvest it.
And given what's happening with inflation, you can invest with your principal protected, federally insured, in a CD that's giving you what, no interest rate back? Zero?
Right now, correct. You know, we expect the interest rates to go up a little bit this year.
Yeah. And if they're investing in the stock market, even the stock market is going down, down, down at present. I'd love to know what their rates of return are at present.
We can get some more information and look into this.
I'm just putting it out there, just something
To look at?
to take a look at.
Sure. Anybody else have any
Your Honor.
opinion? Sure.
Craig, what about liquidity? If we need this money, how quick can we use it?
We would just lose 3 months interest.
Okay, and penalties for,
penalty.
okay.
The
thank you.
penalty is losing 3 months interest.
Oh, sure, I understand that, but they don't penalize us for having to take money out.
No.
All right.
And they do talk about liquidity in this piece of paperwork that by 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and you can have your money the same day for liquidity, which is excellent.
Okay. Something to look into. All right. Any other discussion? Moving on. 7D. E-bikes. This is my favorite right here. Finally get to some good stuff. Jeez. Nah, just kidding. Okay, so it looks like our current code does not allow for any kind of a motorized vehicle or e-bike or such a thing. So, Craig, do you want to go over this, what we got here? And I included a bunch of stuff in our packet.
So this current city code was included in your packet under the Ferrysburg City Code. Paragraph A, a person shall not operate a motor vehicle. We're interpreting that as an e-bike having a motor is going to be considered a motor vehicle, so it would not be allowed on a city bike path. Mayor's police indicators are provided some information on the different types of e-bikes. Got 1, 2, and 3. Level 1 and 2, class 1 and 2 are probably ones that if city council was interested in having e-bikes permitted to be on the bike path. Class 1 and class 2, the city code could be amended to allow for those bicycles on the bike path.
Craig, what, it's my understanding, I got some education in this because I bought my wife a class 1 bike, which is just pedal assist, no throttle like a motorcycle. The bike paths around here, like Lakeshore going from Grand Haven down south like the Tunnel Park, only allow 1 and 2, not 3, which are pretty much for commuting. More like a motorcycle, go back and forth to work. if we were to allow 1 and 2, would we be matching up with what other municipalities have in the area?
I think so, yes. I'm not aware of anybody allowing a bike through and a bike
Yeah,
path.
I haven't heard of anyone that's doing that. They're pretty much for street use.
Yes.
Yeah, I did check into our neighbors, me and Craig did, so Spring Lake Village was gonna pass something soon on probably like the class 1, and then Spring Lake Township basically allows class 1 pedal assist, and then who was else? Oh, Grand Haven Township. Do they allow?
Township and Grand Haven City both allow.
Yeah, and the city Grand Haven, they both allow class 1, and I think, do they do class 2?
I believe so, yes.
Yep, class 1 and 2 e-bikes, so. Norton Shores, they really don't have any bike pass. City of Muskegon, not quite sure, but I could always check on that too, but. Yeah, the thing is, you know, when I'm biking on the bike pass, I see a lot of people and they do actually have some e-bikes out there, so right now they're really not, you know, in compliance, so hate to have them not be. And of course, they would have to follow all the other rules that we have for the bike pass. The weight of the, you know, the bikes are, you know, it could be 50, 60, 70 pounds. With a bigger motor, it's heavier, of course, so. But I think that's, you know, that's not too big of an issue, because we just don't want, like, motorcycles, of course, or quad runners on there. Now, Craig, the other thing is there anything in here, I looked at the ordinance, would it, so if somebody has like a motorized scooter, a hoverboard, something like that, it's not gonna disallow that, correct? I mean, that's not really a vehicle, is it?
Has a motor, that's what they're going on.
Yeah.
Hoverboards all the time. Sidewalks and bikes.
You're gonna see a lot more.
Yeah, so the hoverboards are real popular, those little scooters with
Wheelies
the,
or one wheel.
yeah, and the long boards with motors and all that. So we should probably put something in there, because I hate to have, you know, those people excluded. They're just gonna be kids or, you know, people wanting to, you know, and they're not gonna go fast on there anyway. No more than a bicycle or a rollerblader.
Craig chasing down kids on the bike path.
Yeah. Hey man, come back here with that hoverboard.
We'll get Craig a hoverboard.
Get back here.
Class 3.
We could we get, yeah, a couple of those Segways or something maybe? Those are sweet. Okay. Okay, any more input on this stuff?
Yes, Your Honor.
Oh, Tim, all right. What do you got?
No, I support the allowing the e-bikes on there. Perhaps we could go with a, I saw in here that they have like a 1 horsepower maximum on there, so, for the class 1 or class 2, bike. Maybe we should, restrict the power, and this would cover the hoverboards and the segways and that stuff too. We
Oh, that's true.
restricted it to like a 1 horsepower motor on the. I think that would cover. That should cover 100 horsepower.
Yeah, they're, yeah.
Also, no, I'm not gonna do it. The plow down to plow the snow or sweep the snow off.
Do we don't plow the bike path now, though, do we, Craig? Oh, yeah, we do.
I mean, that's just like saying you can't drive that new emergency vehicle we got
Right,
down
but
the path, right?
I think it does allow in here for the emergency vehicles, right? That the cloud. with the snowplow in there as well.
Yep, we probably should put the snow removal.
Right.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
On
Maintenance,
the bike path.
Emergency and maintenance.
DPW, city maintenance, okay.
Maintenance on the.
Okay,
Is this something, Your Honor, that you're thinking about sending to planning for us to massage the wording? Is that gonna be, would that be helpful, Craig?
I think this is city code, city council can do it. What I'd like to do is get with the city attorney and bring some draft language to you. There's consensus to change it, to allow it.
yeah, I would
Okay.
say so. What do you guys think?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Description. Yeah. Yeah, because the state is, yeah, it looks like is mainly ones and twos are allowed on most of the state property, or the state of Michigan. Okay. Sounds good. Let's move on. E, work session, city budget. Craig's got a little presentation for us.
Okay, we'll start out with some of the stuff that were included in this year's budget that we haven't got to yet. We're gonna get some software for doing the payroll in here, and we haven't moved forward with that yet. We'll put in the budget for next year. Van Wagner water valves, we've touched base with the Ottawa County Road Commission. There's really no urgency to get that done if they want it done at all, so that project's been put on hold. Resurfacing the tennis courts at the Fire Barn Park or the basketball courts at Coast Guard Park. We want to get that done. We haven't done it yet. We were going to patch them, but the surface needs to be replaced. So we'll roll that over into the new budget. We're going to put a new pad in front of the salt barn, but that's not urgent, and we're holding off on that. We had a couple proposals come in for key car access to the city hall. Those numbers were up quite a higher than what we budgeted, so that did not move forward. We're still working with a couple of companies on that and what we can do to reduce the cost on that.
Craig, can we back up a minute, please? Regarding the Fire Barn tennis courts, aren't those going to be converted to pickleball courts as part of the rebuilding?
We want to do the tennis courts at Coast Guard Park though, so we'll switch that over
Okay,
to
I'm just
Coast
seeing
Guard Park.
Fire Barn tennis,
Yep,
basketball
yep,
courts.
yep.
All right.
We did get some new carpet here at City Hall. We did pave a parking area at Sunnyside Park. I did some street patches on Cove Street and Cherokee. Repaved Carmen Drive. That was a nice little project that got done. Restrooms here at City Hall. Hope to have those done this fiscal year. At the garage, right now the water just drains into a catch basin that goes into like a septic out in the yard. The state wants us to do an oil separator in there so we can catch the oil before it goes into the ground. So we're working on putting some specs together to get that done. I'm not sure we're going to get that done this fiscal year, so we'll probably carry that over into the next fiscal year. Or I plan on carrying it over to next fiscal year. Here's the first column is the taxable value at $217 million. That's up an increase of about 5.1%, almost 2%. And the state equalized value is at $293,000. That's a 3.75% increase over last year. This is state revenue sharing. We're estimating to get about $254,000 this year. Next year, we're estimating to get about $283,000. The CVTRS, that's the City Village Township Revenue Sharing Project. If each community does the Citizens Guide dashboard, debt service report, and a projected budget report, and put that on their website. They're eligible for additional funding, that CVTRS funding, what they call it. This year we got about $15,000. We're expecting to get about $20,000 on that next year. When we do get that money from the state for meeting those requirements, we've been taking that money and putting it into the city's pension plan. This is the calculation, what they call the millage reduction fraction. Here on the bottom right-hand corner, you can see it's 99.10. So that means it's less than 1. So that means the millage that we had last year gets reduced by applying that fraction to it. So in the very top row up here is 7.7583. That's the millage that the city levied last year. So we start with that number for 2022, 77753, and then we apply that millage fraction, and we come down to 7.685. So that's the maximum millage that the city can levy this year. And then the bottom table is, you can see it, like in 2021, there's 11 mills is what the city charter allows us to levy. And over the years with Proposal A, it had the amendment, it's been reduced down last year to 7.87. That was the millage fraction, so it got reduced to 7.75. That's what we levied last year, 7.75. So again, we take that 7.75, apply the millage reduction fraction, and we get the 7.6885 millage is what the maximum the city can levy. If you look at the top of what we levied over the years, in 2005 to 2015, we were levying 8.3576 because we were still below what we could levy. And then in 2016, it got reduced to what the city was operating on. So every year, it gets a little tougher to sit there and get a nice budget together. So this is what the proposed millage levy is for 2022. Operating at 5 mils, streetlights at 1/4 mil, harbor transit's 0.6 mils, vehicle at 4.567, and public improvement at 1.8385. You add those up and you get the 7.685. These 5 numbers are really the only numbers that can be manipulated or transposed or changed a little bit. For instance, if harbor transit was only going to levy 0.5 mil, we could take that 0.1 mil and we could add it to the streetlights or to operating or to public improvement. But we're not going to, I think this is what we need to levy. This is what we levied last year. But we need to, with the electric rates probably going up July 1st, we want to keep it at 1/4 mil. The new millage, the street millage was approved last year in November at 1.5 mil. Since it was approved in 2021, we have to apply the millage reduction fraction to it for 2022. So instead of 1.5 mil that we wanted to levy, we're going to levy 1.4865. The museum and non-motorized pass, those are millages that have been approved by the city. So our millage rate for 2022 is a 10.5946. Last year is 9.19. The big difference is the new street millage that's going to be levied. So a 1.1 mil would equal about $21,765. If we went up to 8 mils, which would be 0.315 mil increase, we would get about another $67,000. If we went up to the 8.3576, which was levied for 10 years in a row, it would be about $145,000.
Craig, it seems to me I've got a piece of paper from a meeting from last year comparing our millage rate to neighboring communities. How are we sitting compared to our neighbors?
We haven't, nobody has really levied or got their millage set for this year yet. So when I get that information.
How about for last year? It seems like our millage was like the lowest of anybody by far.
For a city, yes, a city and village, yep. And part of the reason is we've had good growth in the city, which makes our millage reduction fraction always less than 1.
Yes.
And with proposal A, and they had the amendment that millage keeps going, rolling down, back and forth. So, so when you talk to your state legislators, you know, these are the actual millage reduction fraction. So when it was over 1, before proposal A, you could roll your millage back up by that amount. But with that proposal A, we're not able to do that. If we would have been able to roll our millage up, we could have, our maximum millage would have been 8.81 millage that we could have levied this year. So there's always been talk at the state level to try to fix that correction, but it just never gets done.
I know we all get an opportunity to talk to politicians at different times. It'd be great to have a little cue card that, so that we've got the bullet points when we're talking to our legislator about, hey, we need to get this changed, because I know it's had a huge effect on us. Thank you.
Highlights in the budget we're proposing. Police department budget, 650,000. Right now we're at 605,000 in the 20 budget year we're in now. So it's an increase. We figured about a 5% increase. Sheriff's department budget really doesn't get going until October 1st, so we don't have any numbers. So this is just an estimated, we estimated a high of 5% increase due to wages and other equipment costs. And then there's money in there to, for the pension for the Spring Lake Ferrysburg Police Department that we're still funding. Fire department budget, they're proposing $171,325. That's probably up about 2,000 over last year. And a proposed wage increase for city staff is 4%.
Craig, could I ask about the fire department budget? Just how many people on here know that there's going to be some expenses coming up? We have to do some major upgrades to the building itself to come in compliant with the state code.
Fire chief thinks that'll be a year or two out yet. It's not included in this budget, no.
Craig, I have a question about the proposed wage increase. At least people in my industry, we're looking at wage increases of 8 or 9%, and then we're talking an increase in pay. You need 8 or 9% just to keep even. Is that realistic to expect the city just to go up 4%? Knowing that, like you talk about the police department, they're unionized. You know unions are going to say, okay, to keep us even, we got to be up 10%. And now then let's talk about a 2% raise after that. And that's going to be driving people that aren't unionized and their wages up as well.
I agree that 4% is on the low side. Past practice that we've done with the city staff is increase their wages by the CPI. CPI last year was 3.3%, so we're proposing 4%. I think if you wanted to go a little bit higher, we could tweak the budget a little bit to accommodate that.
I'm not saying that I want to. I'm just saying about looking at it realistic about what's coming down the pipe. It's just not pretty.
No, it's not. And again, this is 4%. I think there's a little cushion in the budget right now. As you recall, City Council approved doing a wage study with MML. We expect that to start any day. I'm guessing that would take probably about 4 or 5 months to get that back. We can look at the wage, maybe doing something with the wages at that time when we get the wage study back.
Thank you.
These are the community promotion light items that we're budgeting for this year. Not much change from last year on the bottom dollar amount. The 4th of July parade is back this year, which has always been a low expense to the city for $4,500. And then for the mayor's breakfast, we're budgeting about $3,500. It's a little it's quite an increase over the last, we haven't had it in 2 years. So the last time we did it was about $2,500, and we're expecting with the food cost increase, that it would be about $3,500. So that brings the total for community promotions to about $39,800. This is the general fund revenue. You can see that real property tax, $1.3 million is really what drives the city for operations. And we've got the state revenue sharing about $270,000, and the next one would be cable TV, about $61,000. That rental income at $42,000, that's from renting space out here at City Hall. That really helps the city out with that little bit of money that's coming in from the tenants. Some of the general fund expenditures that we're proposing, some picnic tables, trash containers. We want to put some new fence caps along the fence at the sport fields. NOR dues, just some miscellaneous for parks and what comes up. Doing some painting on one of the signs, and some bulb replacement at Coast Guard Park. For City Hall maintenance, we'll spend about $6,000 for snow plowing in the parking lot. That cost does get shared with the tenants. They pay a portion of that. And just some typical maintenance, thermostats going out and so forth. For equipment in 977 line item, we're going to put in $20,000 for a new sound system for City Hall. Again, we're looking to try to do something with security key card access for City Hall. The software for payroll, office upgrades if we need new chairs or something like that, and a couple $1,000 if we need a new printer or typewriter. Or about $63,000 in equipment for City Hall. And then drains, the Park Place Circle drain. We're going to be part of that assessment. We have no idea what the dollar amount's going to be. The drain commissioner is still working on that, trying to get easements. He thinks he's still going to move forward with that. We're just taking a guess here that it's going to be a high number that the city is going to have to pay on that over a number of years.
Something, Craig, that, like up where I live, I'm in that drain area. I'll be getting an assessment as well.
They had a map out, and I'm not sure you were in
Well,
it.
but I mean, there's certain citizens in that area.
Yep, south of Hiawatha. Some of those houses were. I'm not sure we're not that far. Do you?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah. Spring Lake Township will be in that as well. Their priority is to get the streets done before they come in here to do City Hall. We've been contracting it out for snow plowing. They come in and plow the parking lot, and they shovel all the sidewalks. The tenants get here 6:30. We want to make sure that the streets are plowed before they worry about City Hall. There's been some discussion with the junior wings that the city council has purchased for the snow dump trucks, that they're going to be, it might be some time that they're able to get back here to City Hall. We're still watching that. Last year, or this winter that we're in, just finishing up, was the first year that they had the junior wing on there. Still working on some hiccups on it, but it was a time saver. It saved some overtime, so that's still on the drawing board that we might get back to having the DPW do that. Major Street Fund, it's basically funded by the Act 51 gas and weight tax from a road and gasoline. Projected river revenue is about $350,000, which is an increase of about $19,000 over last year. For projects, we have the Dogwood Drive project for engineering at $90,000. A typical, if something comes up, we got $50,000 in there. Dogwood Drive 975 line item of $900,000 is going to be the cost for that, and the bike path along with Dogwood Drive is another $100,000. So it's going to be $1 million project. And as you recall, that we will get about $628,000 in state and federal highway dollars to help pay for that project. Some of the items that gets paid out of the Major Street Fund is our Elgro dues. We're gonna paint some street light posts, do some crack sealing, tree removal. Here we got the $15,000 for the DPW garage oil separator. Each fund is gonna contribute to that project. It's probably gonna be a $60,000 project. Major Street will pay about $15,000, local street will pay about $10,000, sewer fund will pay some, water fund will pay some, and then the public works fund will pay some of that. And the rest of those are just typical items that get done every year. Local street fund, it's $107,000 from Act 51, about an increase of about $5,700 over last year. For engineering, we're looking at Lake Road. People wanted to have the city pave that road and city recoup the cost through a special assessment. So it'll probably be about $10,000 for engineering, and then about $120,000 for the street project itself. With the street millage, we want to do Roosevelt Road, 4th Street, and then we got some engineering costs associated with those two projects. Depending on what the cost comes in estimates, we'll look at Virginia, repaving that as well. Virginia from 168th Avenue to West Spring Lake Road. And then under contractor services, we got some Elgro dues, and again, some typical projects that get done every year. And then there's a $10,000 for the garage oil separator.
Roosevelt, that's the street right here between us and the school.
Correct.
And we had talked earlier, I believe, about entertaining suggestions from the sheriff's department and the school about some improvements.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, very good.
I thought 168 was gonna be on this year's budget. Is that not correct?
No, it's in the TIP, the Transportation Improvement Program, through the MPO for 2025.
Okay, wow, that long.
The road's in tough shape, but it's an old county road. It hasn't never been done. And, you know, there's some bad spots on it, but that's a solid road. And what's gonna happen, my concern is when we do that street, there's gonna be a speed track out there. So we're talking with the engineer when we do the engineering for that, what we can do to do some safety issues to keep the speed down. Capital improvement projects we have in the works right now, we're taking bids for the seawall at William Ferry Park. The dump truck's still on order. It's scheduled to be putting together at the factory in first part of May. And there's the Dogwood Drive project. That service fund, the bike path bond, $145,000. So we got 2 more principal payments, 23 and then 24. The millage expires in 2023, but what we collect in 2023 will pay for the bond payment in 2024. And then that half mil or 8.47 mils will go away on everybody's tax bill unless city council wants to do something. Sewer fund, really no major projects proposed for the sewer fund this year. These are just debt payments that have been projects over the last couple of years. Lift stations at $43,000. Some work at the wastewater treatment plant, the force main work, and then we have some contracts from a couple of years back that was work done at the sewer plant, and then we have the interest associated with those bond payments. So the lift stations are the ones that were done in the city. There's 7 or 8 lift stations in the city. And when the county bonded for the wastewater treatment plant and the force main, the city jumped on the bandwagon and bonded for $1 million to upgrade our lift stations. So we pay that full payment on that. Water fund, really, again, nothing major going on in there. On the right-hand table is the bond payments for renovations and work done at the water treatment plant. Over on the left side, the big, couple of big ticket items is painting the 1 million gallon water tank in Spring Lake Township, and the SCADA system, which allows us to operate these water tanks remotely, that needs to be upgraded. And then the $15,000, you can see the water fund is going to pay for the garage oil separator. Public Works Department, a couple of big items is roof and insulation. That's an old pole building, and it's old and needs some work. So we're going to put a new roof on there and some insulation. Another big ticket item is they want to buy a stump grinder that they hook up to the backhoe. So when a tree comes down, they can grind it without running the equipment. And again, on the top there is the $10,000 that the Public Works Department is going to pay for the oil separator. Water sewer rates. So the state wants every community to replace all the lead service lines in their municipality. Our contention is that we don't have any lead service lines in the city, and we're working with the state to get them to sign off on that. At one time they wanted us to dig up about a third of them just to prove that we didn't have any. But we're not interested in doing that. So we've had a couple of former employees that were with the city when the water mains were put in, and we've contacted them, and they indicated there was no lead service lines in the city. So what we're doing right now is we're putting together a list to help with the help of the engineer of lines that we know that we've replaced and done work on recently, that they're not lead service lines. So we're going to send something to the state to get them to say something in writing that we're good and we don't have to do anything further. But we've been working on that for a little bit. So water rates, we're not going to change anything in the water rates. No change. We're ready to surcharge for the sewer. We're proposing a decrease of 1.24%, which is about $4.03 a quarter. Sewer rate is going to be unchanged. So that brings the cross connection. We've levied that this year. We brought that to City Council and did not move forward. So we're not going to levy that in 22-23. The money that we did collect from the cross connection in this fiscal year, we're going to put it on the balance sheet as deferred revenue. And we're going to probably do some things in-house just to keep the state happy. So with those two changes, with a decrease in the water sewer rate surcharge and not charging the cross connection fee, we're proposing that the quarterly bill come down $8.28, which is about $2.39%, or about $33 a year. And that's all I have. Any questions?
I have a question, and that is the police pension for the past service that we've had from them. What are we projecting? Is that going to increase? Are expenses going to start increasing now with what's going on with the stock market? Or is it going to remain stable?
For July 1st, our payment is coming down $20. We won't know what the payment will be for next July 1st until we get December 31st, 2021 actuarial report. We'll get that sometime in June, late June.
What have we historically been paying a year?
It's around $8,000 a month, which 50% the village pays and 50% the city pays.
Right.
So about $48,000 for the city.
And on a glide path of that decreasing or increasing?
It's decreased.
Okay.
As you recall, when we got in 2021, when we got COVID money from the sheriff department, got some essential services money from the federal highway, our federal government. The city didn't have to make a payment on sheriff services for a year, and neither did the village. And both communities agreed to pay that. Instead of paying that sheriff payment, we put it on the pension, so that helped a little bit.
Greg, Grand Haven Board of Light and Power has announced a rate increase, like I think in July. Is that factored in? Do we know what ours is gonna be, how it's gonna affect the city?
No, I don't. I don't know what the increase is gonna be. I know it's gonna be increased. I don't think it's gonna affect the city too much because we've been changing all our streetlights out to LED. So hopefully our power consumption will go down and or with the rate increase.
I can't get a straight answer out of them for my home bill. I don't know, so.
Yeah, I haven't got one either.
All right, thank you.
More questions for Craig? Okay, good job.
So if not, we'll put together a budget, put it in your packet, and then what we'll propose is to have a public hearing on the second meeting in May, where you can have a public hearing on the budget. And after the public hearing, would be a agenda item for you to consider adopting the budget.
Okay, sounds good. All right, moving on. 8, public comments. Okay, 9, report, city manager.
No report?
City council members. Bill on the end.
No report.
Will.
We had our rec commission meeting, last week. We sent out flyers in everyone's, water bills, so if you haven't got it yet, it talks about what the plan is for Fire Barn Park, this phase and the next phase. So if anybody hasn't seen this, also talks about the, generous donation that we're, receiving from Leppings. They're offering to give us a matching gift of up to $25,000. So that's big news towards our goal. We've got really good public input on the park so far. Lots of excitement and interest. So we're hoping the money follows. The grant was submitted. Craig reviewed it and made sure there was no errors. I know that was a concern before, so thank you, Craig, for taking care of that. There's ways on the flyer to give online or by mail. We do have a fund through the Grand Haven Community Foundation. You can select Ferrysburg Fire Barn Park, and that money will go towards future park improvements. NORA board this Thursday. Sounds like we have one or two. We have a board opening on the NORA board. We have one or two candidates. One from Ferrysburg. It's for a at-large position. So we'll see what that brings, but I'll have more of an update next meeting.
Okay,
Your
Rich.
Honor.
Oh, Bill.
Your Honor. Rich, would you hold that piece of paper up again? That's the first time I've ever seen this.
It just came today.
Just came in my bill today.
I don't get a water bill. I'm part of an HOA, the Parkwood Village condominiums. They get the water bill. I never see these kind of things.
If I might, we are actually going to be sending out, to Parkwood and some of the other like HOAs, enough in an envelope separate from the water bill for them to give one to each resident.
All right, thank you.
It's also shared on social media.
Ooh, okay. All right. Rich?
I don't have any report, but I do have some quick questions, and that is, are you guys looking at doing some capital campaign, another flyer or something like that? What's going to be happening, given the fact that we've got a $25,000 gift from Leppings that we could use up?
This is part one of the Rec Commission's campaign.
Okay.
Is to send this
Okay.
flyer out. There will be more to follow up to and including pictures on the city page holding a giant check if you so choose to make a large donation.
Beautiful, beautiful. Craig, in our packet, either this week's or last week's, in your city manager report, you made mention of the city of Norton Shores having to close down Grand Haven Road and asking MDOT to use Van Wagner as a detour. It's already a massive detour. What's the timing gonna be here?
It's gonna be mid-May. They don't have a time frame yet. I'm trying to find that out. As soon as they get to me a time, they'll get it to me. But,
Well, I don't know if we need to make a resolution here that we don't, I am certainly not interested in having another detour routed down Van Wagner, and nothing should happen on Grand Haven Road until the bridge is rolling.
right, that's what,
Is
yes,
that
I
what
agree
the
with that.
plan is?
Yes.
But I realize, it's government, so.
I agree with you, and I know what you're saying.
Okay, so you're aware of it. All right, very good. Thank you. No, that's the end of it. Thank you.
Okay. Tim,
Okay, on the, Cross Connect, another company that I've been, that I talked to a little bit, and I'm attempting to playing phone tag right now, but, the, National League of Cities, Service Line Warranty Program, through, HomeServe. One of the things that they will do, they will come into the, for us and do the educational part of the Cross Connect. That was one of the concerns that was brought out when we talked about the Cross Connect before, but they do free education. They'll send out flyers and explain to people what a Cross Connect is, what their responsibilities are in that manner, and exactly what part of the water system and sewer system they are responsible for. And that is at no cost to the city. Also, they offer a warranty program. And the warranty program allows for the homeowners to, at a pretty reasonable fee, to sign up. It's like insurance for your water system. A lot of people don't realize exactly what their water system entails and how much it's going to cost them. So they also offer a happens they act just like the insurance company and come out or pay for the repairs. So I'm still, like I said, trying to get in contact with them to get a little bit more information on that. I'll keep you advised. Noticed to everybody about the ambulance service, and I got some feedback. Some people misread that, thought that the ambulance service was going away. No, it is not going away. There's just going to be, I'm just going to be getting more involved, or trying to get more involved in making sure that we are going to continue to receive the same great service we're receiving. A lot of rumors going around, a lot of different talk. But no, on top of it, I've talked to the other chiefs and other people involved on the ambulance advisory board, and we're all, we will be definitely keeping an eye on it. So nothing to worry about. Nothing's going away. You're all gonna still be. Talking to the legislatures, it's great, but it's also one of the things that MML provides. At the conventions, at the conferences, we always have time to go talk to the, meet one-on-one with our legislators and representatives. Also, some of the things that concern us also concerns MML, and it's one of the reasons that we got the bridge passed through and got it paid for. That was part of the people working on our behalf. And also, and I'd like to thank former Mayor Hopp for her historical marker. That's a great legacy for the city, especially it's the first of its kind with the talkable communication. So anybody can read it and enjoy it. I have been invited Mayor Blease was invited to go be part of the change of watch for the U.S. Coast Guard Commandant in Washington D.C. He's not able to make it, so as my position as the Mayor Pro Tem, I was asked to represent the city of Ferrysburg in Washington D.C. at the change of watch for the Commandant. This year is the first year in the Coast Guard history they will have a female Commandant sworn in. So it's going to be a very historical time. I'm honored that I got asked, and I'm really looking forward to the trip. That'll be June 1st. Person that has been almost what I consider liable has been putting stuff on Facebook about me that has been absolutely untrue, and this person knows who they are. It's one of the commissioners on one of the boards, and I can take a lot, but when this one particular comment is I consider liable, and I would like a retraction or a removal of that comment. With that being said, that'll be the end of my report.
Okay, Jerry?
Yeah, KLH Dune Preserve Board meeting tomorrow night at 6:30 p.m. That's it.
Okay, Debbie?
We met the Beautification Commission met last Monday. We are still working on the parade. It's looking pretty good. And we are also discussing still new holiday decorations. So it's a work in progress.
With garland.
Oh, they don't
Garland.
want garland.
Lots of it.
They don't want garland.
Oh, it's like my parents with whether or not to put tinsel on the tree.
Yeah, they don't want it.
Okay.
That's
you
it.
done?
We're-
Okay, Rich, you got something else?
I did, Your Honor.
Oh, Will? Okay.
In regards to Mayor Pro Tem O'Donnell's trip to DC, who's going to be paying for that? Anybody?
In the past, the city has paid for those trips to the change of command.
I guess I should ask, what is the benefit to the city of, I've been to 100 change of commands, and I mean, they're great things, but I'm not sure it benefits our city, does it? Can anyone tell me that?
The thought was that is supporting the Coast Guard, with Grand Haven City being Coast Guard City USA, and with the Coast Guard Festival and everything else like that. By participating in the change of command, you're showing support for the Coast Guard and remaining here in Grand Haven with their station.
Part of there's representatives from Coast Guard Festival, the other cities, Grand Haven, Spring Lake, and other municipal leaders from this area that go all the time. So
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing that they go all the time. I guess my question is, what benefit does it have for the city next door to the city, Coast Guard City USA?
it keeps us on the map. We one of the things I've been trying to do since I got on the council is to try and get us from out from under the shadow of Big Brother Grand Haven. And we are our own city, and we need to keep that out there that represent ourselves to the people out there.
Sure.
Like I said, like with MML, when I went over there the first time, and I've been a lot of places where they say I'm from Ferrysburg, and they go, "Huh? Where's Ferrysburg?" But no longer. There's people out there, even on the other side of the state, that know where Ferrysburg is now.
Yeah, I guess from my perspective, and like I said, I've had the unique opportunity to attend multiple chain of command ceremonies for various services. I have to, as you, all have to explain to residents why we're spending their tax dollars on a trip to DC to do a change of command, right? We're not lobbying something that represents our city. We're just going there to get on the map, as you say. I'm just not sure residents would be thrilled that that's how we're choosing to use tax dollars.
Your Honor.
Yes.
Craig, historically, what is that? What's the expense for something like that?
Just travel out there, which is a couple, is airplane ticket. I think it's 2 or 3 nights they spend there, plus meals.
So what are we looking at for total expense?
Probably about $1,000, probably $2,500. Take this on the next agenda item, our council agenda, to approve the expenditure.
I think
I
that
would.
would be worthwhile. Give us a chance to hear residents' input on this.
Agreed.
Craig, what is the budget amount do we have for council members per year?
I'm not sure I have that with me.
I think it was like
I don't have that.
4,000 or something per year or something?
3,000, for all of city council, 3,000 or 4,000.
Okay.
I'll have that for you.
With that, can you bring to us an itemized what we've spent so far, please? And who spent it? Thank you, Craig.
Okay, the MPO for April has been canceled, the policy committee meeting. They will have one in May. Arbor Day is coming up a week from Friday, so that's 29th, April 29th. Coast Guard Park, we're gonna do a tree planting for Arbor Day with a tree board, and then public is welcome. There's some on social media. We're gonna postings about that. So that's all I have.
Your Honor, I just want to throw it out to everyone that come to Arbor Day, bring your kids, and our very own Mayor Blease will be reading them a story. We also have about a tree. That's very exciting. And
Yes.
We also have some kid-friendly handouts as well. So it's gonna be a whole event, and we're excited to have story time with Mayor Blease. We're hoping this is a lasting tradition of story time with the mayor.
Yes, 4:30 p.m. Okay, end of report. Any move to adjourn? Meeting adjourned.
I want him to read me a story.
Okay. Who's coming for the tree buck?
When is it?
I have been
Week from Friday,
Oh, you got my email.
April 29th.
You got my email.